All right, so the purpose of this meeting today is to kind of go over the identification numbers problems. Now, which of you have already done the lesson on identification numbers?
I have
Do you mind identifying yourself by name? Sorry.
Ryan.
Ryan, okay. Uh, Smith Brothers, have either of you done the identification number?
No, no.
Okay. All right. So some of this information may not be as clear as it will be once you complete that lesson. And Ryan, I graded yours today and gave you a little feedback. If I remember correctly, it was a strong
Okay, thank you.
assignment for you. Um, but I do encourage you to turn the assignment in and look at any feedback that I do give prior to beginning the project. And the project is not intended to take a very long time. It basically is just an opportunity for you to demonstrate your understanding of what it is that we've been working on in this chapter. So, what will happen? I'm just going to go ahead and share this little screen with you first. Da, 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 da. Okay, me let me do this. I want to pull up what it is that you will actually see in when you go to find the project itself. So let me do this. Let me shut off my editing tool. So this will be a student view. Let me go ahead and switch that again. All right, so when you go into your Blackboard and you're here at the content learning page, uh, when you go into your Unit 1, and this is a student view, over here off to the side, down at the very bottom, we have our, oh, take that back, go into learnings, okay, stop. And I think my student view is slightly different than yours. I did go ahead and reset it so that you're able to navigate um, using this table on the side instead of having to arrow all the way through. But this is what you'll see when you actually go into the project. Notice I changed the due date. I decided to make it due Monday so that you would have the weekend to work on that. Once you get into the project here, things that you need to understand is you are going to use the graphic organizer to kind of get your thoughts together. And then once you've filled out the graphic organizer, what you're going to be turning in is an electronic presentation. Now, what type of presentation tools do you guys like to use?
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint? Anything else?
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Okay, and that's fine. PowerPoint will be fine for this project as we progress through the semester. I encourage people to try a variety of tools. If you've never done anything with Prezi before, that's a really good one to do. And then we'll be doing at one collaborative project, so you'll want to do something in Google or something where you can collaborate with other people. But you'll notice that when I go into the project, I can either download the graphic organizer here, or there are two items down here at the bottom. Do you see them as attachments?
Yes.
Okay, so one of the things that you're going to be interested in, and this is going to open in another window, is this is actually the rubric for your project. So you're going to want to make sure that you read through this. And I'd like to just spend a moment or two on the rubric prior to looking at the project itself, because this is general information, but also something I think people forget to keep in mind when they're actually creating a project. One of the things that you are going to be graded on is that you do present the information in a logical order. And if you are using the graphic organizer, this actually will be a no-brainer. You will be able to have it in that order and won't have any problem. Be sure to elaborate. Demonstrate this logical, explains and elaborates, so not just, here's what it is. So when I'm looking at your methodology, I'm looking for the elaboration. Obviously here, when we get into the calculations and visuals, then what we want to talk about here is, was it present? Are there graphics in there that make this a good electronic presentation? And of course, accuracy means you didn't create any errors. Now, these next 5 components here all have to do with what is actually in the graphic organizer. You have your background information, you have your examples, explanation, the accuracy, and the organization of the project itself. So any questions at all about the rubric?
No. Nope.
Okay. All right. And then simply go back to your platform. And the other document, when you click on it, is going to be your Word document, which is what I have open here already. So, and this will make a little bit more sense to you, Ryan, simply because you've already done the lesson. Elliot and Alex, I suggest once you've done the lesson that you go back and revisit reading this portion of the project. I think it'll make a little bit more sense to you. Okay?
All right.
But what you're going to do is, this project is going to allow you to kind of have a little bit of choice, which is something that we always encourage when we're doing these types of problem-solving activities. But within that choice here, you can either choose to do what we call the European article numbering coding system, or you can choose to do the ISBNs, which is something that everybody likes or is at least familiar with. I also gave you the choice of using VIN numbers, and then you could do credit cards. But if you do the credit cards, you need to do a variety of credit cards. And then, or you could look at what we call employee identification numbers, etc. For each of these, and you're not doing all of these, you're picking one of these to work in. So I'm giving you 5 choices. If you do come up with another choice, something that perhaps I did not think of, and you'd be interested in investigating that identification number system, all you need to do is email me so I can give you approval ahead of time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So any questions about what you're choosing, or where you're going to find the information in the platform?
Nope.
Okay. So then what we have here is the graphic organizer. Now, I created it as a Word document, so you can type right in it and save it, write on it, however you want to do it. But the first thing you're going to do is simply identify which code it was that you decided to look up. Okay? And then you're going to have to find some background information. Now, this part of it, this part is very important. Make sure that you cite your resource. Okay?
Right.
Any questions about that?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
All right, next, and this is the part where, Ryan, I think this will be a little clearer to you since you've already done the lesson. But when you do the lesson, what you do is you learn about something that's referred to as the check digit. And when the check digit is different for all the different types of identification numbers that we come across. So the first thing you're going to want to do is explain how you go about finding the check digit. Now here's where you're going to give me that example, and remember that example you want it to be in detail, as if you were explaining it to someone who didn't know anything about how to find a check digit at all. Next, you'll have to do some explaining as to how you go about finding some errors. How do you detect whether or not you have an error within your identification number? And again, I believe this may be a little clearer to you once you go through the lesson on identification numbers. Now, this is a part that I rely on. If you remember correctly, and I don't think I still have that rubric open. Nope. Let's see if I can pull that rubric up real quickly. So my rubric, when I'm looking for things like visuals, when I'm looking for that elaboration, those types of things, things that are going to make this project kind of stand out a little bit more, that can be in your interesting facts portion. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Now, also, I want to mention that Elliot and Alex, I want you each to pick a different numbering system to do your project on.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So, any questions at all about the project itself?
Oh. Nope.
Okay. So then the next thing I want to talk about is I have a project. It's, you know, let's talk about what this looks like and maybe some things that could have been done to make it look a little bit better, or, get a little bit better grade. This is be about an average grade. So it starts off, has the title, nothing wrong with that. I deleted the student's name, so just looking at this really quickly, you'll notice this came from the graphic organizer. What code am I looking up? That needs to be clearly identified. Background information, again, clearly identified. How do you find the check digit? This is outlined. Whoops, sorry, it is step-by-step format, which is fine. Here's my example. And this explains how you go about detecting errors in that system. And then at the end, they stated their resource. So just looking back at the rubric itself, would you say they presented the information in a logical format?
I guess so.
Yep, and that's pretty much was the format of the graphic organizer itself, correct? Okay. The interesting part, you read through it, it is a little bit interesting how they go about detecting it. Logical pathways, here's what I was missing a little bit was the elaboration. Not a lot of elaborate. It was not elaborated on very much. So do keep this in mind because this can hurt this part here. Calculations and visuals. Was it neat? It was extremely neat. Were the calculations there? Yes, they were. So you would receive full points here. There were also no math errors there. But I would like to see in the visuals, going back to the visuals for a second, although the calculations were clear, there weren't a lot of visuals, so some points would have been lost here. So what types of things do you think you could have someone could bring into that PowerPoint to make it a little bit more visually appealing. Hey, Rachel, how are you? Are you there, Rachel? Can you hear us? Let me just type a
Oh,
mess.
my mic was muted. Sorry.
That's okay. All right, so you can hear us. Good.
Yes.
All right. I'm not sure how much of that you caught, Rachel. I'm just kind of going over. We're kind of wrapping up here a little bit. However, we are recording this session, and I am going to put that out to everyone so everybody has the same information. So let me just finish up. My question in general is, what do you think someone could have done to that presentation to make it a little bit more visually appealing?
A little bit more color.
Color, anything else?
No.
Elliot or Alex, any suggestions?
Some graphics or something, or pictures, or
Right, some graphics or diagrams, pictures, those would have been useful. So the idea here is not just to simply answer the question, but to present the information. So I want you to keep that in mind when you're doing your project. All right, let me open it up now for questions. Any questions or concerns that anybody has before they go about starting the project?
nope, that was helpful.
Okay, great. Awesome. Ryan, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Okay. Well, if you don't have any more questions, gentlemen, I'll excuse all three of you. Rachel, if you want to stick around and let me know if there was anything you had questions about since you kind of missed the beginning, and I will gladly go through that with you.
Okay.
Okay. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn the recording off. Okay, Rachel, since I did go through the